Namaste,
Gurubhyo Namah.
Guruji.
Gurubhyo Namah, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Namaste Guruji, namaste all.
Namaste, Guruji.
So let's get started with a prayer. Guna Sitaramanji, please.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya. Surya Koti Samaprabhu. Nirvignam Kurume Deva. Shubhakaryeshu Siddhyate. Vidyarambe Vivahe Cha. Praveshe Nirgame Tata. Sankrame Sankate Chaiva Vignastasya na jayate Ya Kunde Dhrutushara Dhavalam Ya Shubhravastra Vratam Ya Veena Varadanda Mandita Kala Ya Sveda Padmashana Ya Sve Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So that was wonderful. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege.
We'll switch over to the gallery view. The speaker view actually helps me, understand who's speaking during the discussion. It helps me add their name when I do the editing. So I'll be switching back and forth. So today, I have chosen by just intuition or instinct a particular chart. This person had actually requested me to study the chart along with the students. And he had some questions, but by the end of the session, we hope to find some answers. But even before that, from our point of view of either proving karma theory, that we are born again and again, and as we sow, so we reap, or everything is cause and effect, past life, all that, we will use this chart as an example. So we are, I'm just going to share the horoscope. Don't bother to, as we always say, don't bother to find out who it is. It's definitely something that will not be available in the public domain. Okay. So, and after choosing the chart, I realized that there is a connection to why I chose this one. Though the request was made long time back, it occurred to me that I should do it today. So some of you who are very familiar with my approach to dates and days of the day of the week can easily guess what the person is going through. Okay. Astrologically, what the person is going through. Anybody wants to start, making some wild guesses, you can type in the chat.
I don't think the screen is shared, Guruji.
Huh? No, I have not shared the screen yet. I just said, why did it occur to me that I should do it today? Though I think Gautam had a horoscope to discuss. But this one came to my mind just like that. Maybe it's not just like that. It is also a matter of destiny sometimes. What is Quadra Saturn at the moment?
Today is on 26th, and the month is 8th. And
so much of 8. Okay.
And the Hora is Saturn right now.
Oh. From our point of view, from Chennai point of view, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you think it's something to do with Saturn?
Definitely, Guruji.
Okay. I did discuss this in one of the classes. So those of you attended that session, please refrain from giving any clues to the rest of the class. Can you see this chart?
Yes, Guruji.
Those who know about it earlier, you please use the raise the hand symbol so that I'll know at least you have known about this. Okay. If not, we'll continue. Okay. And as usual, I'll change this to the speaker view. So, okay. Yeah, so now at least I'll know who's speaking in this view. So who goes first? Something that catches your attention?
10th Lord in 10th house. Yoga Arka in 10th house, Guruji.
And you want to say something about that?
It is number 1 Yoga Karaka for this ascendant, for Taurus ascendants.
Okay.
And it formed Panchamahapurusha Yoga, Sasha Yoga.
Okay. So nobody knows about this horoscope, right? That's what I presume. Because there are no hand raise. Okay.
Raj Yoga, Mars, Saturn, Lord of 7, Lord of 9, mature aspects.
Okay.
Debilitated moon with aspect of Mars and Saturn.
I
Oh,
was speaking in both.
the moon is debilitated and aspected by 2 grahas, right? Or is moon subject to just this? Mars by 4th house aspect and Saturn by 10th house aspect.
The biggest affliction comes from Rahu Ketu, the eclipse causing nodes, and they are afflicting both the moon and the sun, with additional blemish on the moon being debilitated.
Adding to
And,
that, Rahu and the Lagna are in same degree. Rahu,
yeah,
Ketu, and
same
Lagna.
degree, along with Jupiter. And another important blemish is that Sun and Mercury both are exactly on Sandhi, which is again another weakness if you consider that Avastha part. So,
And it is completely combusted, Guruji. 5th Lord.
Okay. So can we start saying something about, I mean, we are saying something about the planetary combination from a beginner's point of view. Do you want to make some statements that we could all understand as an output, how things turn out in life for this person?
Moon severely afflicted by many of malefics, plus Atma Karaka totally combust, placed in Lagna. I'm unsure, I don't know the chart, but it might be that the stability of mental status or the thinking of this native can be afflicted.
the first question rises about the dignity of the 3rd house and the 3rd lord. So, I believe that there is a problem with the marriage area, in the marriage area, or in the affliction of marital status.
Okay, something to do with marriage.
Marriage, because
Guruji,
of the 3rd lord being debilitated, and along with Ketu in the 7th, that calls for some investigation there.
Guruji, can you please share Navamsa as well?
You can now see the Navamsa.
Yes, Guruji.
Guruji, the bottom portion of the chart is cut, slightly cut.
I see.
Yeah, this was the problem mentioned in one of my shares. I believe this is the same problem.
Now how is it?
It's still the same, Guruji.
Still the same.
I don't know. I mean, others should chip in and say.
Yeah, it is slightly cut, Guruji. Slightly, but we can still see where exactly these grahas are placed.
Okay. How do I improve on that?
I think it's the Zoom panel of Kishore. is cutting the bottom charts.
No, I'm not sharing. Guruji is sharing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On your screen, maybe the zoom panel is turned
But
on.
on my view, what I'm seeing everything full. No cut.
Yes, yes, Guruji. On my side too, I'm seeing it perfectly.
Perfectly. Okay.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
There is something called a zoom ratio, which is next to that notice on the top. And then zoom rate, when I put it 50%, it's showing all the charts, but very small.
Oh,
When I give
no,
100%, it's cut.
the question is that on my the other computer, the regular one I use, so this is being relayed from a Windows system, but the other one is MacBook, and in that I'm seeing I have a large screen, and the everything is perfect. There's no cropping.
Yes,
So
I got it now, Guruji. I got it. So I
Okay.
have to go to the zoom ratio, fit to window, again go to 50%, and then go back to fit to window.
Okay.
And then if people are watching it in full screen, then again it gets cropped.
I see.
Georgie, is your zoom panel always enabled
Yeah, it is on the top, right?
or bottom?
It's on the top.
Okay.
View, I think I can make it as side by side for speakers. Okay.
Yeah, it's same for me. So if you go and click on the top right corner view and do the side by side, it would fix it.
Oh, side by side view. Okay. Because I'm seeing the participants. So for me also it is side by side. Side by side speaker. You choose that. I think it should be all
Yes.
right.
Yeah, you should choose side by side speaker, and in the zoom options, go to fit to window.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Done. So now we are back. You want to see Dasha? Why this person has asked me to study his chart?
Yeah, it's a stronger seventh house debilitated effect with Moon, Kedu, Dasa Bhukti, both being together in the seventh house, both in D1 as well as in Navamsha in 1/7 axis, with Moon being debilitated in both. And aspected by Saturn. Moon aspected by Saturn in both.
And on top of that, Saturn is also aspecting the seventh lord. So the seventh house is aspected by Mars, by Saturn, and in the Rahu Ketu axis, and in Paurnami or the full moon day. So there is an affliction to the grahas also, especially Jupiter, afflicted by Rahu and very close conjunction with Sun. So all in all, this speaks a lot about the marital status. And if you look at the Navamsha, we see again Ketu and Mars, the separatist and the violent planets in the seventh. Mars in the seventh separately has a bad name, and this is a Mars that is aspected by Jupiter. So maybe there's a break in marriage or marital status, or there's some sort of a violence or a dislike for marriage. Guruji, is it possible to see the aspects, Guruji?
Yeah, definitely. Just give me a minute. But before that, when you come to the end of the discussion, you will know that most of you already got it right. Okay. For some reason, I'll not be able to tell you where you got it right, but all of you are proceeding in the right line, right direction. Is this person good or bad?
Can I
Good,
say
Guruji.
that? Can I say that this person is actually fighting with the demons inside his mind?
Fighting with the demons in his mind.
Yes. He has a lot of issues going on in his mind,
Yes.
and he's fighting with it.
Yes. And can you educate the students on how you have said this?
Yeah, forget about all the other grahas. When you see Jupiter in the Lagna, which is actually a very powerful Jupiter placement, when we see that, it means that the person is capable of thinking um, in a wise way. And then you see Mercury there, which is also giving him that ability to think. But then we see the afflictions to the moon, which is the Manakaraka. We also see the afflictions to the fifth house, fifth lord, and the affliction to the fourth, which is again a place for happiness. So there is some sort of a stress involved because of moon being also the mind and Saturn and Mars afflicting it. It's not only afflicting the native because of the marriage or marital status, it is also afflicting him in a big way because of some connections in the mind caused by Rahu Ketu. And Rahu Ketu are the karmic grahas which bring in whatever is pending from the past karma, past life. So there is this mental turmoil going on in this person's life. I believe it has to do with his choices and his environments. He's not happy.
What could be the source of all the problems that he might be undergoing now? What could be the basis?
I will tell after somebody speaks, Guruji.
Okay.
It will be too much of a...
Yeah.
So,
7th house, Guruji, as well as his own mind.
Oh, 7th house matters and his own mind. Okay.
Yes.
Mind, I think you're relating to the moon as the Manakaraka, right?
Right, Guruji.
Okay.
I also
well
want
as
to note that that's a third house lord also. So that is another important point.
Moon is the third lord in the 7th.
Yeah, third lord is again the house of transformation and house of your courage, your the power to do things that you feel is right.
On the other hand, do you give importance to moon being Vargotama? Rashi and D9?
That makes it even more impactful, right, Guruji?
Yeah, much more stronger. And adding to that, what Kishorji told, the third house lord in 7th is also a Bhagya lord for 7th, if he takes 7 as a Lagna. So that is also getting affected. So
no, Sampatji, what you predicted is right or what you analyzed is right. But then you have to go with a diagnosis. So the diagnosis is that 9th lord of the 7th is debilitated and afflicted by Rahu Ketu axis, which is the biggest afflictor for the luminaries.
True.
So then it goes towards, the angle is going towards the negativity more.
Yes, Kishorji. Agree.
Guruji, is he married 2 times already?
He's married 2 times already.
Yeah. Is he having any other...
But we want to know how, because that's interesting. How do you
it is because first lord in 2nd house.
Okay.
That shows like one combination, and that is in 2 signs of Gemini. And Upapada Lagna is falling in under like 2 signs of Sagittarius. And again, like in Navamsa, first lord is in 4th house of Virgo, 2 signs. And Lagna itself is in 2 signs. And he is already having looks like he is already having issues with 7th house.
No, that I would say yes, at least to get started. I don't want to keep too many, I don't want to increase the suspense, but there is something going around the 7th house. Okay.
Yeah, separately, 7th house occupied by moon, based off of Bhrigu itself says like many women, Guruji.
Okay.
Does it speak about the dignity of moon?
Sorry, Kishorji, what did you say?
No, does he talk about the dignity of moon?
No, it doesn't matter.
So wherever it is, the placement of moon in the 7th, okay.
The basis for that is the moon itself is so much connected to relationship, because the essential, what emotion that we need is actually, it is the emotion that is involved in relationship, right? So maybe that might be the reason why the Maharshi spoke so much about you have indulgence, right? But I think basically Here, the Bhrigusutram did say something else about the seventh lord. So only then the two wives combination. But otherwise, usually, most of the classical books have also always said, like Brihajataka, I have the translation which says exceedingly over head and ears in love. Always so much concerned with the opposite sex when the moon is in the seventh. But is this the moon is in the seventh? Do we say this moon is weak or strong or Vargotama based, or is it afflicted by Rahu Ketu? From that, can you guess something else about the marriage?
So this moon is full moon, right?
Correct. But how much
So
weightage do you give for full moon versus eclipse?
I guess we'll have to use the stack up. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, Eclipse is powerful, as Kishore also mentioned that. But being 7 to the Jupiter and being a full moon, there could be a possibility of. I mean, it's like a 70% negative, 30% positive. Like he still have option to turn around things. That would be my guess, because it's a Vargotam as well as full moon.
It is that full moon that is making this an eclipse.
So how do you connect? How do you come out of these contradictions? Like, which one do we say is finally going to manifest? The full moon side, the moon so strong, or the moon in eclipse? Which one do you think?
Definitely eclipse, Guruji, because
Why? On what basis?
full moon comes every
month. Every month. Okay. So the rarer event always reveals more. Okay. There's a formula I invented long time back, 30 years back. The rarer will give us more clues. Always ask which one is rarer. You have the entire chart, which is rare, the Lagna has to be there. So Lagna will become the most important thing just because that makes it rarer, right? Otherwise, if you say Jupiter is exalted for all everybody in this world if they're born in that 1 year, right? But then what is something special? So
Guruji, to expand on that concept, which I've been using with great success, the fact that you mentioned about the rarer being more important, then isn't this entire placement of 1-7 axis itself is a rare thing? Because we see the Atma Karaka and the Mana Karaka, both of them getting eclipsed,
Yeah, it is.
Sun is getting afflicted, and not only is it a normal affliction, it is both like a full moon and an eclipse and a debilitated moon. So that is like entire package itself is a rare package.
So one thing, what we started off by saying, oh, my camera. What we started off by saying, full moon is now a bad moon, right? Just because it is an eclipse. Do you understand?
Maybe we can take it like this, Guruji. It is full moon, so the emotions may run much more higher than maybe abnormal, probably.
Okay. And we'll add a rider to Sampaji's statement saying that this moon is also the representative of the house of courage, the lord of the courage or transformation house. Which means that is.
Was he born on the exact date of eclipse? Without Google, how do you say he's born exactly on eclipse?
No, Guruji.
It's 10 degree away or 12 degree away from sun, so should not be exact day, probably. I might be wrong.
See, for the eclipse to happen, you don't need the sun and Rahu to be so close. Okay, that's a very important point in eclipse. What happens is when the sun and Rahu are together, and sun and Ketu, on a full moon day, it has to be a full moon. It is 100% eclipse only, always. Okay, but if it is too wide apart, then it might not be. Okay, so you don't expect that on the date of eclipse, the date is not having anything to do with the sun and Rahu connection, right? All you need is only moon, because moon completes the eclipse. The final thing is only the moon. The moon has to be in Amavasya, that end of Amavasya, and beginning of Pratipat, that is a place where it is peak lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse. Lunar eclipse will be when the moon is just crossing over from full moon to the phase 1, Pratipat. So just because it is full moon, it is also the because sun is at 28 degrees and moon is approaching it on the opposite side, the 28-degree axis. So it's for sure it's not at over, it's going towards. So anyway, to cut the long story short, if you Google, you will know 13/14 is eclipse. Okay. June 1965. Why have I written Ram Ram is because he's a Ram Bhakta. He's all the time chanting Ram Ram. Is he well known?
I think yes. And I want to ask one question. Is he suffering from legal cases right now?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, anyway, said, in my opinion, this moon is very afflicted, regardless that he is on anything. I think this moon is really very afflicted, and I think now he is suffering some legal cases, some that I think he will lose it. I don't know. But this is my opinion, that this moon, even if it's Vargotama, whatsoever, this moon is very afflicted.
Sir, he also has Dharma Karmadipati Yoga, so it makes him very famous.
9th Lord in the 10th. Okay.
Right, and 9th and 10th connected.
Anyway, we think we started off with Shasha Yoga, right? Panchama Purusha Yoga.
Yeah, Panchama Purusha Yoga and also Dharma Karmadipati.
Sir, one more question, please. Is he working like in technical field or as police officer or something like this? Or government administration?
Yeah, he might be with government and probably expecting might be with some power posts like administration related.
Powerful position.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, there is a significant sannyasa yoga in this chart. Moon in the sign of Mars aspected by Saturn, which repeats in the Navamsha.
Moon in the sign of Mars. Is that specific?
Yes, and vice versa is also true. If moon is in the sign of Saturn aspected by Mars, it is also a sannyasa yoga. In this case, moon is in the sign of Mars aspected by Saturn.
Now we have two opposite. We have opposite views.
Sorry, Guruji. In addition to what Gautam said, that particular moon is like a third house of transformation.
Is it 8th house is transformation or 3rd house is transformation? 3rd house could be more to do with waking up, right? Awakening, meeting a guru.
Guruji, there's one more affliction to the moon here, and that is this Kendrum Yoga, where there is no
either side.
Either side. The only saving grace is that Jupiter is aspecting that moon. So it's just a half Kendrum Dosh.
I think by now, most of us have agreed that the moon is in trouble, right?
And there's also this Nabhasa Yoga, which I've mentioned in the chat. It's called as a Pasa.
Okay.
It's
so many planets
7 planets. Yeah, 7 planets in 5 rashis. So
5 rashis.
There is again that problem there.
And moon is in Moon Nakshatra, if I'm not wrong.
Moon is in Moon Nakshatra. No, moon is in
moon in Anuradha.
Anuradha.
Yeah. Sorry. Moon is in Saturn. Saturn moon aspect is very strong with Saturn Saram there for moon. Yeah.
No, how much is the aspect of Saturn over moon, Guruji?
Oh, we can see all that, right?
Because
See.
then in that case, then there would be something called as a punarpu dosha.
Okay.
It is
Because
there, Kishorji. Punarpu is there for sure.
No, we have to see the percentage of aspect.
is this fine? I kept some pages where you have the South Indian, North Indian, both, and then planet aspects, houses, everything in one sheet. In the Zoom ID, you can actually, in the profile ID, you can change, you can update your name if you want that to be added in case you're recording something or saying something.
So Guruji, there are two more doshas which we saw. One is Kendrum and the other is Punarpu dosha. Punarpu, I think in South India they take it very seriously.
Yeah, made very popular by Professor K.S. Krishnamurthy, the author of. I mean, it was there always in Tamil Nadu, but so Saturn. What is the actual definition? Saturn aspects.
Sampatji will have to tell because he is the one who's dealing with Punarpu dosha.
There
So
are
we
four,
have
five.
separate, we are specialists now, like eye doctor and ENT.
No, he's reading right now a book on Punarpu dosha. So I told him once you read it, you teach us all.
4-5 rules on Punarpu dosha. One, Saturn and Moon conjunction.
Yeah, simply
And
conjunction.
Conjunction.
So, okay.
Second, direct aspect, 1/7 aspect of Saturn and Moon. Third, Saturn and Moon parivartana. And fourth is Saturn and Moon 3-10 axis.
Yeah, special.
Yeah, and also another point is with aspect along with the nakshatra saram. Here Moon is having a Saturn nakshatra aspect as well. So it is a kind of a Punarpu dosha.
And if I may ask, what are the effects or consequences of it, Sampatji?
Sadness.
Mostly it gives some bad taste.
It
sadness,
makes people
sorrow.
sad. Yeah, sorrow. Yeah.
And 70-80% related to marriage, partnership.
Usually marriage related. Marriage is called off on the date of engagement or on the date of marriage. The marriage is called off. So
sometimes even that Shanti Muhurtam doesn't happen because of
something like that. On that day itself, they split. So it's not actually only marriage, but I think it's a big blow to the mind, I think. But as soon as the moon occupies the Saturn nakshatra, at least the nakshatra connection is there. That itself is a starting point. Okay, that may be the reason why in the evening I decided to do this chart. Right, I had no plans, but I just did. I started, but only after when I was about to begin, I realized it is a 26th and a Saturday. Okay, at the time I selected, I didn't have that in mind.
And apart from this, Guruji, this guy is going through Ardhashtama Seni.
Ardhashtama, okay.
Explain that, Sri Devi ji.
The fourth house from the sun. Fourth house from the moon. From the moon, when transit Saturn. When transit Saturn.
I keep getting confused with the Ardhashtama and the Kantak sun.
Yeah, it's almost the same only. The half of 8 is 4, like that. Yeah, that's the meaning.
So, Kantak is also the same thing.
Yeah, Kantaka is actually Kendra. It is Kendra. 1, 4, 7, 10. See, that way you will always be able to blame Saturn wherever he is, except in 3, 6, and 11, right? You always get to blame Saturn. It's somebody is going through. In a way, it's right because Saturn is a punisher always.
Because we are talking about like 7th house and wife, Guruji. The reason why I said Ardhashtama Seni is it's like loss of wife and relations and wealth. When Saturn is in, I mean, he's in Ardhashtama Seni.
Okay.
Other than that, this person should be a man of authority or wisdom and capable of, in the real world, from the outside world, he appears to be quite authoritative.
Yeah, interested to know his profession, in fact.
Yes, Guruji.
So what is the question, sir? What should we find out?
We need to find out how his Chandra Mahadasha is and what he might be undergoing. I think Mardini started off by saying some legal issues and so on. So I'll give the clue that it is a legal issue matter. Okay. And I'll also give you, just to get started, that it started exactly when Moon Mahadasha started. And that proves karma theory. It proves astrology, right? Also, we need to, be, when you prove astrology, then the rest falls in place, that you have to be afraid of God and instructions and, the way to live life. There is a discipline. There's something that you have to be very careful about and so on. Don't break the rules.
So, sir, if it's a moon issue, then is it connect? So, can we interpret it as a disturbance that the person must have done in the past life to the mother?
How many of you think it is more mother-oriented problem in the past life, or is it more marriage-related?
Marriage
Sir,
related.
moon is the Matrukaraka in general,
okay.
like
Yeah.
how Jupiter is considered the Putrakaraka. And
Always, Rohit, the trick is, Karakas is again general. What is more specific than that is house.
Okay.
Always house gets more power, because house is something specific, right? Just specific. If you say on that day, for all the people, it is an eclipse and moon is afflicted. But when did this person take birth? He took birth when Rishabha Lagna was on, rising. So because of that, all this eclipse, everything happened on 1/7. So you drop third house and just shift over your attention to 7th house. Okay. Is he in trouble because of his wife?
Yeah, it seems so, sir, because even Ketu and then also Mercury, everyone are related to 1/7, and 1/7 is in the pain in entirety. And what's the obstacle of the 7th house, sir?
7th house generally always get low score only, right? But anyway, we can have a look at all that.
Guruji, is there any deviation mindset or a deviated mindset?
Very difficult to answer that, because only at the end of the discussion, when we know the background, we might be able to say whether that is true or not. Okay.
Because there are too many pointers in that direction. So.
Okay, I'll admit that we now have proof that he had a different mindset. Okay, he had.
Yeah, and it's evident again, sir. 7th house is the lowest again in the entire chart.
No, generally, 7th house gets low score based on the Ashtavarga ideas. You always find the 7th house not able to get so much of high score. It will be very low.
But in general, I have seen like the Ashtavarga doesn't change for the entire day. So if, let's say the person is a Kanya Lagnam, so the 7th house becomes the Meenam, so and the person gets the highest points on that day.
Okay. No, I'm not saying it. You don't have to consider the low score here, but most people will have low score in the 7th house. In this case, it is 22. Okay, we'll take that we'll use that in the stack up anyway.
Yeah, meaning like there might be potential problem, like the problem indicator in the marriage life.
Okay.
Yeah, and also as Kishorji mentioned, that's a very nice point about Ketu and Moon being conjunct in the 7th. So Ketu and Moon obviously represents mental issues pertaining to the marriage. So might be some mental issues in the marriage. And Moon is also the natural Manakaraka apart from Matrukaraka.
Let's see something about Dashamsa.
Guruji, we have not seen Vimshupak and Shadbal.
Oh, did we not see that? Okay.
It was there, but it was too small actually. So there are a lot of other graphs.
Maybe I had one in page number 2. Yeah.
Oh. What is that Varga, Guruji, that talks about the character of the person? That's D27, right?
No, it's not by one chart,
30.
but
30.
D30. D30, a lot of things. Like I think Brihad Jataka Varahamira has used it. And some people have used Trimsamsa for that. But it will be like overall reading of the chart only. There's no specific for the character. But for some reason, for women's character alone, they had used Trimsamsa. I don't know why that was the case. Okay. Maybe it applies to the men also. In the marriage angle, can we say eclipsed due to a marriage? Eclipsed
Yes,
because of a marriage.
7 in the Lord in the 4th. Uncontrollable spouse.
Disobedient spouse, yes,
Disobedient. Okay.
yeah, you're right. Not in
And
control.
eclipse happened in 1/7 axis, Guruji. So, and that eclipse, 7th Lord is also combined.
Okay. So was the wife a very tough person?
Yes.
Mm.
Guruji, can we also say that Taurus is like the Kalpurusha's natural second house, which is family house. So eclipse there has affected family life, marriage life.
All that is general because you are not specifically coming down to the Lagna factor, right? So
Right.
why a person is born during a particular time? So whatever makes it more
Rarer.
rarer or unique, and whatever is so time sensitive, that would actually have more clues. Unfortunately, most of us don't have the exact time of birth. And actually, fate seems to be changing, I think, roughly every 12 seconds of birth. And who is there to note down time of birth in 12 seconds? Okay. But you can add up those points little by little. Something to do with 2 and 8. Yeah. That is Kalapurusha's 2 and 8.
Correct.
Mm.
Yes.
You can
And
add.
7th Lord Mars is aspected by Saturn.
Yeah, we have trouble. See, the problem when you read fine positions like Saturn is in one house, Panchamaha Yoga, we know it is also disturbed by Mars. Okay. We know it's disturbed by Mars.
There is another point here. The Sukhasthana is afflicted in both the Lagna and the 7th house Lagna. That is, if you consider 7th house as Lagna, then we see the Mars impacting the 4th house of the 7th Bhava's placement as Lagna. And then we see the same affliction to the D1's 4th house afflicted by Saturn Mars aspect on each other, especially on the 4th house.
Correct.
And
see, if you take Saturn Mars opposition, mutual opposition, glancing at each other, Saturn looks at Mars, Mars looks at Saturn. That axis somehow becomes the 4th from Lagna, from the moon, from the sun.
And from the 7th.
Yeah, from the 7th, right. So we have, that is telling us something, right? There is a war-like something.
And if you go into Nadi astrology, then Jupiter is also there in the Lagna itself. So it becomes again the 4th from Jupiter also. Okay. The native being Jupiter.
Okay.
So the Guruji, can we say violence also involved because of Mars here? Mars afflicted by Saturn.
See,
Saturn.
When I met him first time in a Zoom meeting as a client, I didn't know anything about the background. So as soon as I saw this, what came to my mind was an eclipse happening on 1/7, and on 4/10 there is trouble. And I noticed the sun, moon, 7,000, all this. So the first statement I made to him was, you spilled a lot of blood in your past life. Okay, unnecessarily. I remember saying that. But after that, we went into the actual consultation. So there was violence in his past life. I can easily say that. So the transformation is that now he's a Ram Bhakta. Okay.
Guruji, how did you come up with violence? Like Mars in the fourth is domestic disturbances, right? But how did we come up with
Saturn, Mars, even Rahu Ketu, all this is actually violence only. The eclipse itself is a kind of fight and a violence. How do you prove eclipse is violence? Anybody? Suggestion?
It's the war between the luminaries and the forces of darkness.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. But in the Samudra Manthan story, there is violence, right? Vishnu chops off Swar Banu's head. Yeah. So we have violence there. Like we have the anti-dharma Graha Sun Rahu Ketu axis. Now Gautam has started using it as RKA to shorten it. Rahu Ketu axis. The Rahu Ketu axis is usually where the anti-dharma matters are. Okay, so we need to fight with it and control it, the urge, everything. So there is something about the seventh house. So there is something foreign, right? Whenever Rahu Ketu is outsider. So he married completely, like perfect. If you go by the definition, true foreigners. There's a person from India, okay, but he married foreigners.
Is there any way that we can say that, Guruji?
Which one?
Is this like 12th house that we need to look into? How did we know that this person is going to marry a foreigner or like...
No, because Rahu Ketu, covering the seventh house. Okay. Yeah, whenever Rahu Ketu covers, there's always a foreigner's connection to it. Foreign. Rahu Ketu are the prime karakas for foreign. Because from our perspective, our Rishi stuff, Rahu and Ketu are outsiders, right? They're like what Kishorji just now said, they're the demons. They're on the other side. All the planets are on the Deva side. Rahu Ketu alone is on the Rakshasa, the demon side. I think somebody in the beginning said he's fighting his demons. Who's that? I don't know.
I told Guruji.
Oh, Kishorji said that. Okay.
Using moon as the Manakaraka.
Okay, moon as Manakaraka and
third lord of courage.
Fighting the ghost, right? Rahu Ketu. Usually, they have said Rahu Ketu on 1-7 axis, you can see ghost. The reason for that is you live in a state of fear, and so you actually create the ghost. And usually it is a sign of guilt that you did something, and it's what they say, it's haunting. It haunts you. Usually in powerful charts, big negatives can also happen in powerful charts. Right? Who is assassinated? Ordinary people. Only the kings. Only the king. So you can easily infer that the king must be having a very strong horoscope to have become a king in the first place, right? And then how does he get assassinated? You may say assassination is just a one-day event. Okay. But he lived as a king. So you have to be very careful with when you say powerful yogas, it doesn't, we know kings have gone into exile, kings have been assassinated. All this happens. Leaders have gone to jail for long term, like Nelson Mandela. Mahatma Gandhi went so many times. Remember yesterday's class I said about exaltation, why Mars is exalted in Saturn's house. If Saturn and Mars fight with each other in a Kendra, they're very strong. So that's the reason why I guessed there was a lot of bloodshed. I said you spilled a lot of blood in your past life. Always opposition is actually fight. How do you fight with a person? Where is he? Side by side? He's with you or he's on the opposite side?
Opposite side, Guruji.
Always opposite side, right? In every game, they're on the opposite side. So in boxing, the fellow will come on the opposite side and then the fight starts. Mars, you always said it is 7th lord, right? Mars, is he lord of something else?
12th Lord, Guruji.
Is 12th house also? Is Saturn having something to do with 12th house?
Saturn aspecting 12th house.
Saturn aspects 12th. Okay.
In Navamsha, Saturn is in the 12th.
In Navamsha, Saturn is in the 12th. In the 12th row here, can you see which planet influences the 12th the most?
Saturn.
Correct? You can see here, Saturn. Okay. Now keep this in mind and then look at Saturn aspect on Mars. How much is Saturn aspect on Mars?
95.
Saturn aspect on Mars is 95. In this column, do you see which is the highest then? This one, right? 95? 95 is the highest. Is that telling us something? That Saturn is aspecting the 12th house, very strong, and also the 12th lord, very strong. And in the basic chart, there is a mutual fight between them. So is this person in hospital?
Hospital or medical related something.
Medical related.
And Guruji, like slightly different tangent, but kind of in the same line. 5th Lord in the 1st is about being crooked or stealing wealth. And I don't know if it's linked to, and then it's also very, very close to the sun, which means sometimes it can mean that, your intellect or your buddhi, you're not making the right decisions. And it's also on the eclipse, like you said. So maybe some like wrong decisions. Like,
wrong decisions, yes.
Crookedness or something went wrong. Like,
I think in the beginning, somebody said Mercury is in trouble. I think Kishorji mentioned that, I think. Right? Mercury is in trouble. He used the logic of that they're on the edge of the sign. But the truth is that the sun is at 28 degrees and Mercury is at 29 degrees. right? That is enough to say Mercury is in trouble. So you want to say something about that, Soumya? That
I
if
feel,
you say the
Guruji, like
fifth lord,
fifth lord in the first, like the crooked and stealing other people's wealth, kind of like some kind of not righteous decision making, probably.
you know why the Maharshi hints at sometimes good and sometimes bad in a sloka? Okay, if fifth lord in the first, is it completely bad? Will steal others' wealth, crooked and
No,
lying. There's something
no.
else nice, right? You're
Yes,
you're
honesty,
wise. I think he says he's wise. I think, and
wise, yeah.
you can take a hint that you know these people are very good at projecting and predicting, because 5 is actually a very good house in that way. And I think he's also a blessing for children.
Correct. Progenic habit.
Why the Maharshi is telling opposite things within the same sloka? Anybody else wants to give us a clue on why he takes this stance?
Is this because of the other house that owned by this planet, Guruji?
So here is a trick. Okay, the idea is that when you see two opposite things within the same sloka, what it means is, if the planet is well placed, you get more of the positive side of that. If that planet is afflicted, you will start getting the red ink. You remember in my Word document I always use the green and red ink, right? Some of you have already done the same thing. So more of the red will come out if it is afflicted. If it is not afflicted, it's well placed, it will be more bhagya with children, and the person will be a scholar, right? Basically intelligent. But it can go back and forth. See, the problem is that to do all this, you need some intelligence, right? You can't steal. If you see any movie in which they rob the bank, the person is obviously extremely intelligent, right? Maybe they're very good at electronics. Buddha stuff, Mercury stuff is electronics. So they know how to manipulate everything. You
Yeah,
see,
intelligence gone wrong, right? Intelligence without karma.
intelligence gone wrong, correct. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. So these people are very smart. That you'll see in every movie, right? Sometimes they'll show that the villain is actually smarter than the hero, right? Or equal, at least.
Can we look at the Navamsha again, Guruji?
Yes.
With the degrees, the Karakas, I mean.
Also, the ascendant degree and Rahu degree are almost exactly the same.
Yeah, there is something very important, right? Ascendant 20 degrees and Rahu 20 degrees. And please do not take please do not take this time of birth as rounded up in, though it is 5 o'clock. It is actually 5 o'clock. Okay. Somebody wanted D9. Yeah, we are on D9.
Are there any trace of Pisach Yoga in this, Guruji? Like haunted by evil spirits? I mean, it was mentioned as evil spirits in those days, but according to Desh Kal Patra, this can be some sort of affliction.
Yeah, affliction.
Because of the Atmakarak, another angle to it is the Atmakarak also in a very bad state.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason I had a doubt.
Who is the Atmakarak?
Mercury.
Isn't it Pisachi Yoga is formed with Rahu and Saturn?
Yeah, we are seeing that, right? Rahu is there. Malefics, actually, not just Saturn. Usually, this Pisach Yoga also takes into account the Atmakarak, the placement and the affliction of by Rahu on the Atmakarak. And then we see the 4th, the 2nd, and the 9th houses afflicted by Rahu, Mars, Saturn. So, and from the moon lagna, we see the 7th lord going to 8th and the 8th lord going to 7th. Though there's a parivartana and all those things, the parivartana caused the marriage to happen. But the 8th, 7th parivartana is not a good parivartana.
Okay. Do you notice that all the planetary degrees are somewhat something unique, something that you notice about planetary degrees vis-a-vis ascendant. Nobody is less than
High, loaded by karma.
Huh?
Very high degrees loaded by karma.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's nobody at from 0 to 15, right? And we have only Venus at 15. Then after that, it's all 20 plus, 19 plus, 20 plus. 20 Rahu, 19 Jupiter, Sun 29, Mercury almost at the corner, Mars at the corner, right? Everybody. So you have something very peculiar, right? About they're all on that side. So mostly Bhava Madhya, the center of Bhavas, or closer to Bhava Madhya.
One small turnaround in the chart that I see is that I feel that the wealth part of the chart is quite high, both professional and innate wealth. So that could be landed property or wealthy person's chart. And the reason why I want to mention that is because of the connections between the first lord, second lord, 11th lord, 8th lord in the Lagna. That is again other people's money, and then a lot of connections with the 4th lord in the Lagna. All those things are pointing to huge amount of wealth. Now, the problem could have risen because of the wealth not being managed properly. Or probably misused.
Why not managed?
Misused.
Okay.
Usually, in Kali Yuga, they say that this money, gold, and all these things are the curses. And people who don't know how to handle it will go into the wrong path. So, that is just a small link that I'm trying to make with the wealth of the chart and the person's suffering, the mental suffering and agony. So, could that wealth be the seed for his suffering, Guruji?
Yes.
And Guruji, I think the main thing
at one particular point,
in alignment with Kishorji,
at a particular point, he had, I think, personally, I think he had $84 million. Okay. But the company,
and then something gone wrong with
the company that he was heading for was billions and billions of dollars, many billions.
It's nothing from his chart, but I think one of the bad quality of this native, I think he is narcissist. I think he is thinking that I am the center of everything. I am the center of the world. Because it's very obvious in his chart. I think he is the first. Yeah, he is the first enemy of himself.
Okay. Are you saying this because it is all the four corners are occupied, the 1, 4, 7, 10?
Isn't it called Sarpa Yoga, Guruji?
Huh?
Kendras are with malefics.
No. Is it because of that, Mardini?
Srideviji, that point is not the very valid point because, and if you look at the main point which I made earlier was that he was authoritative or someone who was able to control. For the outside world, he was in control, but inwardly he had to fight with his demons because of the presence of Sun and Jupiter in the Lagna, but afflicted. So I think probably Mardiniji is looking at Sun in the Lagna, right?
Yes, somehow. But my point here that all the planets are in Kendra, and Saturn and Mars mutual aspect is Yama Yoga. In the 7th house, where he has the moon debilitated, and he has the Atma Karaka Mercury combust and Lagna. Usually, where is the Atma Karaka is who is God for me. So in Lagna combust, so this native, he think, okay, I am a God. So I think one of his bad quality that he is narcissist. He is thinking that I am the center of the world. Using this logic can lose. I said before that I think that he has very high position. But as Kishorji said, yes, he has high wealth also. It's nothing from his Arudha Lagna, from the connection between these houses of 2 and 11. But I think he himself, his
Guruji,
personality leads to lose this quality which he has, this blessing which he has.
Guruji, I had a doubt about this chart. So I wanted to ask whether this person was born in Lahore. If that is the case, then I will I will be knowing this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guruji, one more point I wanted to add, that Upapada Lagna, because you were talking about 1-7 continuously, the Upapada Lagna dispositor Jupiter is right next to Rahu, less than a degree. So definitely deception, either this person is also very deceptive and the spouse is also deceptive, like a lot of cheating part of his personality himself, because the ascendant is so close, and then from marriage perspective also because the Upapada Lagna dispositor is also so close to Rahu.
Okay. It actually fits the person. I think even what Mardini said about his character, even that fits. Okay, now let's go to the main topic. He's in jail right now. Okay. Facing a long sentence. Okay, many years. But before he went, some 2-3 years before, when he became my client, I completely convinced him about karma theory, and he changed. He started, doing a lot of good work. His attitude changed. He started getting into devotion, Vishnu Sahasranam, and everything. Right? Of course, after everything has come to a particular point, like when Parikshit is told that this is going to happen to you, he turns spiritual. But there's nothing wrong about it. It's at least, even in the last minute, it is worth. Right now, he is chanting Ram Ram all the time. So I took permission from him. Now, the objective of this discussion is to find if there is a miracle, and if possible, instead of the 13 years imprisonment, is there something that can happen in between that is released? That's the question. And if so, which dasha and which antardasha, that's possible. Okay. So it was a request from the person. So, and I also told I'll be discussing this in class. So I have his permission.
Guruji, when you said that Saturn aspecting the 12th house, the native can be in hospital, I wanted to say or jail, but I didn't want to sound very, very negative.
Okay.
So I prefer to be silent.
Okay.
Mardini, the same predicament I face, whenever I see some affliction, I feel it is too strong to hit the person, then we put it very mildly,
Yeah.
like, okay, just try to soften the impact. And then we come to know that what we had assumed in our mind was the truth.
Correct,
So
because
that
I
is,
said he has legal cases. I
yeah.
am mute to say jail, but I said, no, I don't want to be that much negative.
Basically, the affliction to the 7th house itself shows that there was a problem in the partnership, the house of partnerships.
The second person, the current person in his life, he didn't marry. It was just an arrangement, a live-in relationship. Okay.
Now that I think, Guruji, even I think I know who this is. So I think 12th house, both are applicable, medical and jail, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here, one question I want to ask Guruji, in terms of remedies, when we see that there is an affliction to the 12th house, and if you are going to surmise some remedy based on that, and the fact that Soumyaji asked this question about the 12th house being both hospitalization and prison. So do we say that since he is in prison right now, he's undergoing that affliction, and to ease that affliction, can we say that some donation should be given for medical treatment of people who are underprivileged?
Now it's impossible to do any remedy because all his money is, it's with the government, right? Whatever is left. So he's not a free man to do anything, but he tried his best to do whatever was possible before he finally went to jail. So I'd considered several times. And
could that be a viable remedy if it is possible, Guruji? I mean, if the money is not locked?
No, the money is locked. Okay, so...
Oh, in other person's chart, if somebody else has that affliction, Guruji, in that case, then
generally, yes. Generally, yes. So that's why we should always, first we shouldn't do mistakes at all. So this was a case of actually cheating only. We know that. But then there is a, and he did behave, in a certain way. So, which is not actually good. So there is a bad character that developed. So sometimes when you have the Panchamahapurush Yoga, you can actually be strong in a different way, right? So Mars fueled it, I think. And the affliction, so actually what is this trouble about? He was leading a normal life, right? Until he meets this lady. So he's already successful in the world of computers. He's already successful. And that is enough. But then the attraction caused by the 1-7 started, and then it became romance and business together. But unfortunately for him, the lady was almost like a demon. Okay. So do we say that after the Chandrama Dasha, he can come out, or is it only after Mars?
It's only after Mars, Guruji.
That's a long way to go, right?
Yeah. Is this like even after Mars? Because next comes Rahu.
Sir, in which nakshatra Mars placed? Otra Valgoni?
1 minute. I'll change to a page where degrees are there. Yeah. What do you say? Rahu? Rahu is in Moon's nakshatra, Rohini. 20 degrees, right? Rahu is at 20 degrees. Moon. So there's so much of Rahu here, right?
Mars is in Sun's nakshatra, right?
Mars is in
Sun's nakshatra.
Sun's nakshatra, Uttara Falguni. I think you have an option to fill in the nakshatras, right?
And Sun is in Mars's nakshatra. So there's a nakshatra parivartana between Sun and Mars.
Sun is in Mars nakshatra and Mars is in Sun nakshatra.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, nice point. Nakshatra connection. Almost like a parivartana type. Moon is also the GK planet here, right? So do you want to use Chara Dasha?
Sixth lord, the effect of the sixth lord.
So this year on, it is Virgo. Does that say something?
Virgo Libra.
But the procedures of what is an actual culmination, it started in Libra last part, I think. Most of the finalization, the final verdict, everything, all of it happened in Libra. Right?
Guruji, can you show the Charakarakas?
Charakarakas.
If you see the Charakakas, you'll not be able to see the Charadasha, Gautam.
Wait.
He can enable it here in this chart itself.
Oh, okay.
We have this. Yeah.
It's a Maraka Dasha.
Which one?
Virgo, since DK is Libra receives the aspect of DK, Dhara Karaka. But since there is no additional malefic influence, I think the Maraga part we can leave and consider the other Karaga, so the DK.
Okay. But DK is Venus, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying Virgo is in trouble because of that? Or Libra?
Virgo, Guruji.
Okay. So that's because Venus aspects the Virgo, right? Planets,
Yeah.
common signs.
Dhara Karaga is a significant of the seventh house.
Okay.
It's not only the spouse, but the Marga part of the seventh house will be also there. So, and since there is no additional malefic influence over Virgo, I think it will pass.
So in Moon Mahadasha, which Antardasha the person might have gone to jail?
Mercury?
Moon, Venus, Guruji.
Okay, please type it out. Whatever you feel. Moon, Venus, Moon Mercury, Moon Saturn.
Moon Venus is in the future.
Moon Venus is in the future. Okay. It is Moon Ketu. Okay. Everything is because of the lady. Okay. If this lady is not in his life, there is no such thing, right? All this could not have happened. His first marriage was with a Japanese, but then divorce happened. And this second one was actually a live-in relationship.
Guruji, any option in this system showing the Panchanga of the chart?
You have any question on Panchang?
Yes, sir. He born in Chaturdashi, Tithi?
Yeah, the last part.
14.
Almost over. Yeah.
Chaturdashi.
So is this like Krishna Chaturdasi, Guruji?
No,
Like
it is not. It is not. In that, the moon will be behind the sun. So this is not a Krishna Paksha Chaturdasi. So from Moon Ketu, 2023, if you add 13 years, do we get any clue from astrology angle?
I think, sir, in Mars I hope that he gets out. I hope all his problems solved. But in my humble opinion, I think in Mars it's too difficult.
Okay.
Also, Mars is
even
the 22nd Rekana Lord.
Even I thought the same way. Mars is also the
22nd Rekana Lord.
Okay.
And 12th Lord, Guruji.
Mars is the 22nd Drekana Lord, not just Lord, but in the 22nd Drekana, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it even more significant, Guruji?
Yeah, it is even more powerful. It's a typical Maraka, very powerful Maraka because he's ruling the other house, 12th house. So whenever Maraka Graha, 7th Lord, co-ruler, the other house is also a 12th house, it becomes very bad. It becomes even more powerful to do the Maraka.
So I guess that period is going to be a testing time for him, especially the Mars.
Yeah.
Health-wise also.
Yeah, the worst part of this is that the last moment he becomes, a very nice person, and then the punishment happens. It's so difficult to digest it. So otherwise, if you are the bad person, you will be able to handle the jail also very well.
From a purely philosophical point of view, Guruji, when the person is undergoing punishments or, when he's been tried and he has been convicted, without doubting the judiciary system, if I assume that he's undergoing punishment in a way that's appropriate for, as per the country, the Desh Kalpatra, then is he not undergoing that punishment in this birth itself so that he starts from a clean slate? He doesn't get carried forward. What if this gets carried forward?
No. From the chart, we know he's being punished. The current situations used it to hand over the punishment to him for the blood spilling and violence that was done in the past. And sometimes you are not punished in that life. So the punishment gets carried forward. In the next life, in order that the punishment happens, they commit one more mistake, and that mistake is being used to punish the person. Because we're reading a chart that is prepared on 13th June 1965, when he was born. That day he's a baby. What bad has he done? He's done nothing. He's yet to do. And why they're doing is, for this only, they can only be imprisoned, right? So there is a working mechanism of karma. So normally what happens is, let's say a thief. He steals, gets away with it. He steals and gets away with it. Where is he punished? When he's caught alone. So there will be situations that you do something and this time you're caught. Whereas during the other situations, the escape route was so, it's like, for example, if you're a warrior, in war, you can do a lot of atrocities during an attack and nobody's going to know. And you won't be punished.
In those days, there were rules even for war, Guruji.
No, there was, but the individual person may not adhere to those rules. They'll break the rules because there's nobody to, control them.
Or watch them, yeah.
Yeah, watch them. So they'll do something. And in that birth, nobody can be, that person can't be punished because there's no proof. Some countries have done it very well, like, how to treat prisoners of war, how to treat civilians during a war. All this, sometimes governments have tried and punished the person, but usually, what will they say? They're their own people, right? So they won't punish. So you see, when the army went to Sri Lanka from India, they misbehaved. There are a lot of records. But do you think these soldiers are punished? No, they get away. So karma gives them another life where they will do something. And in this process, actually scripted, like the lady comes in to his life and the lady bluffs and she says something and he thinks maybe we can do it actually. And a lot of money comes in. And then afterwards, when the moon Mahadasha starts, that moon is in Saturn Nakshatra, debilitated, afflicted by as many planets as possible. Then the trouble starts because it is already the third lord. Okay.
May I ask a question, Guruji, which
Yeah.
is slightly related to the chart, but also from an astrologer's point of view? Out of your experience, if this chart had to come for consultation and you could see that there's a problem or affliction in the seventh, which is business and marriage, what would be the remedy you would suggest, or what would be the course of the treatment for the blemishes that we would suggest, in a way that it balances out the karma? Because the events are yet to happen, we do not know when it is going to fructify. So if this was appearing to you as a consultation, what was the remedy you would have suggested, Guruji?
I said you have to take care of a lot of, the problems of, health and death. And you have to involve yourself in a lot of blood donation, I said. Okay. It was later I came to know, the first meeting, that time I said, you've done something with, violence and blood shedding. The entire case is based on blood. Okay. It is based on blood. The cheating happened based on blood. So the karma had used the same item to punish the person. Okay. So I would have suggested more blood-related remedies. But knowing that the eclipse is on 1/7, I would have asked him to, ask such people to promote marriage in the society. And basically practice peace mantras. Om Shanti, 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 because of the violence. The reversal of violence. So during the time when the company was growing, we have records. It's that he was quite a tough guy, merciless in his administration, very rude and so on. But when he came to me, by listening to all the karma stories and how life is and all that, the person completely changes. So he gets into the bhakti. But then karma is karma, right? It's already set into momentum. But of course, we know the next life will not be bad because he's changing.
Sir, can I say something?
Yeah.
Sir, almost all the planets are in the fixed Rashi apart from Venus, which is in dual Rashi.
Yeah, only that's a very peculiar thing. Fixed.
Right. So with the fix, the remedies would have not helped in a immediate way. It could have helped him in a longer term if he's focused and determined to work on his karma. But if the 12th house is being Aries, with Mars being Marak and Saturn having the aspect as well as Mars having the aspect on the 12th house, should we recommend the person to work in the prison environment as a physical labor kind of a thing? Build the, I don't know how to say that.
Okay, when you suspect there could be possibility of imprisonment, then the highest remedy suggested in those days was releasing birds, animals, and fish kept in captivity. Okay, so giving freedom to others, writing about freedom, making people come out of misery and poverty, which is also a kind of imprisonment. But then, sometimes the punishment is already like everything is set. So then you won't, there isn't enough time to change, the course of destiny. It is like, if you actually are on a boat in which you are actually rowing the boat, And you want to change direction, you can't do so quickly. It will take some time
Right.
to turn it around, right?
Right.
By the time it is too late, it will be years by the time you change.
Yes.
So,
We
but
call that
but people like us are very unfortunate, like when I was reading the chart all the time, I know he was going to jail, but I couldn't tell him.
Right.
Right? That's another side of consultations. So I gave him a lot of hope, but I know, but my tone was very bad, and he could sense that, and he also never asked, "Will I go to jail?" So that was a sad thing. So I
So,
dwelt upon more the Srimad Bhagavatam. He became an ardent devotee of, disciple of Shirdi Sai Baba. And when the jail authority said you can only carry one thing with you into the jail, he said, I'll carry my Japamala for the chanting of Ram. Okay.
so that's why, sir, because now his life is in prison, giving back to the prison as a physical labor himself, where Saturn is aspecting and the Mars being the body. So he has to work in the prison. That would help him, just because the Mars and Saturn are aspecting 12th house, and Mars being the owner of the 12th house.
Yes.
Help him as in it is now forced, right, Guruji? Now that's a forced punishment. He has to do it.
Yeah. I mean, that is part of the punishment. It's not a remedy. But one more important thing. When we face the consequences, when we go through the sentence, that itself is a remedy. There's no additional remedy for that. You're already facing the punishment. So all the people in this world, they are clearing up the mess that they created in the past life by experiencing the punishment only. There's no separate remedy for all the people in the world. Right? How many people believe in astrology in the first place? And remedies make sense only if you do it beforehand, like vaccination idea. You have to do it before you get the disease. There's no point vaccinating after the disease has come, because once the disease comes, you become immune to that disease. Your own, what they call antibodies will come into your, it will be prepared in the body, which will make sure you don't get the disease again, most of the time. There could be recurrence in some times, but most of the time it will be the antibodies are there to protect you. So once you are in jail, what is the point of even talking about remedies? Because you're already undergoing the punishment.
Right, but just to ease off the pain.
Yeah, so that's right. But anyway, he's a good person. So I'm sure the authorities will notice that he's a good person, because actually the transformation did happen. Okay, it did happen.
Right. Sir, in this chart, should we say Mars is also in Mrityu Bhagya?
Did we check that? Is it? Do we have the?
And while we are talking about the problems he's facing, Guruji, the amount of wealth he has earned is because of the Maharaj Yoga.
Yeah.
Which is not a normal Raj Yoga.
Correct. But the best point is that the first time he made money, that was totally legal and there's no issues. Only the lady did everything. Okay. It was the Maya of the lady.
Guruji, I also wanted to ask the same thing that Kishorji was saying, like what would be the remedy for like the dishonesty part? Like how do you tell the person to become honest? Because there's a lot of deception in him also, like how Mardini ji said that he was a narcissist. How do you tell that person in advance to change that part, the honesty part, the deception, or the self-centeredness, narcissistic?
Guruji, Mars is in Mrityu Bhagya.
Yeah. Leo, right? Yeah.
Yes, correct.
29 degrees. Okay. That's an additional point. So his life might be in danger in Mars Dasha, right?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Yeah. We already saw it is Drekana and so on. But to console him, I told him that we are all of us are prisoners in a certain way. So I think Buddha was Buddha, when in one of his lectures, he told the householder is already in prison. He marries inside a prison. He creates children as prisoners. Like that, he described all of us.
The very body that we attach to ourselves is a prison.
Yeah,
Very
that's
true.
what.
Very true.
Yeah, so we have an issue like this. So I consoled him like that, but it was very tough consulting because all the time I know this is going to happen. There's nothing in the world that can stop. See, but when the Atma, when the personality changes, it's very hard to digest a punishment because you are now different. And for something else, I was like that then, for that you're punishing me now. So this seems to be somewhat illogical, but that's how karma is. Okay, because the world needs to set examples of dharma and adharma. So if you let go a person just because he changed, then it'll be a precedent, right? So that means I can always confess and change. I can say that I'm now a good person.
Guruji, is Hindu Lagna in the 11th for extreme wealth?
Wait a minute. Oh, Hindu Lagna is in Pisces.
11th, right?
Yeah, 11th.
In the D1.
Correct.
So that is again another deadly combo. So Maharaj Yoga is seen twice, Guruji. One is through the Jaimini Karakas also, and one is through the Lordship in Parashari method.
What chart was here before I did something? I don't know. Something was here, right?
Navamsha and D1, Guruji.
Yeah, we had a D1 and Navamsha here. Was there a...
North Indian.
Oh, no, Vimshotri Dasha was here. Okay, I messed it up. Anyway.
Guruji?
Yes?
Moon Ketu conjunction generally gives the mind being fickle-minded or not firm. And to some extent, could this person was influenced by other people talking into it? Or on top of that, it happens to be also in the 7th?
No, the lady convinced him.
Lady convinced.
Yeah, the lady convinced him, and it was a Maya of the lady. It was like 2 in 1, right? So you're mesmerized by the, the glamour of wealth combined with a person who's getting...
That particular individual even has a heritage that her father was a Enron conman.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
She happens to be the daughter of the guy who tanked Enron Energy Company. That was the first major disaster in America in 2000.
Oh.
Yeah. But my question was basically the Ketu moon itself, right off the top, when we all started the conversation, somebody said the mind is in turmoil. And then on top of that, later on, we also started seeing this as falling in the Rahu Ketu axis, falling in ascent and 7th. So that we then quickly pivoted to the marriage and partnership and business. So sometimes...
Yeah, 7th house is also the house of business, right?
Yeah.
Vanijyam. So it's always the dealing, the mating and meeting house, right? So the 7th house is...
If it were slightly different for this person, it would have been like few hours off or anything. It would have been a very good combination that Jupiter in the first, notwithstanding Rahu Ketu there, Jupiter ascent is good, Sun, Moon, Sun, Mercury, Of course, that's so close combustion, that's an issue. It's very unlucky combination.
Correct.
Will there be a temporal analysis, which we are already doing? You said that 13 years when we add in 20...
He has to cross the entire Mars Dasha.
Yeah, 2036.
Yeah. So 2036 will be Rahu Jupiter.
Yeah. That means...
But I doubt longevity might be affected in Mars Dasha itself.
Well, American system is very different. They have parole, and somebody was talking about service in the prison. They don't allow such things here.
They don't allow. Okay.
The best we can do, some people that I have known to do, is to go and teach, and for that they generally bring teaching instructors from universities to go and teach the prisoners. They don't even allow that to
the prisoner to do it. Okay.
To do that. They give libraries.
Oh.
To read. I mean, this guy is very rich. He can afford it, and he can get himself a situation like that.
Okay.
Sir, can I add one point, please?
Yes, Mardini.
We have seen that he has very, very heavy karma in his 7th house. Also, if we see the Panchanga, he born in Chaturdashi Tithi.
Correct.
Which is the most difficult Tithi, by the way, because it's classified under Rikta Tithi. 4th, Navami, Chaturdashi, all of them Rikta Tithi. They are somehow bad for relationship. The Lord of the Tithi of Chaturdashi is Venus. And if we see Venus blessed 8 from the 7th house.
Okay.
Its dispositor, Mercury, Atmakaraka combust, 12 from Venus. Okay. So if we add the stack up, like from many angles, he has very heavy karma with his relationship. So it's his karma. So he have to meet this girl, and happened what happened.
Correct.
Anyway, the best remedy for Chaturdashi is Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva.
So the mantra of Lord Shiva can help. But now what happened. It's too late.
Yeah, too late. That's the problem. Okay, so shall we end the discussion? I hope you had contributed. No, not so much of typing, right?
Guruji, there was this. Can you please enlighten me? Where is the mention of the nature of the dasha in the sequence? They say that the 1st, 3rd, and 5th is good and something like that. It is mentioned, right?
Dasha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same way the nakshatras are. The 3rd star, the 5th star, the 7th star. It is always the same order. The 3rd dasha, the 5th dasha, and the 7th dasha. But you want to use that and say, okay.
Because we are seeing Mars having a lot of problems.
Marakatva.
Marakatva is there, and so it is also in the Sandhi. So that one text which I copy pasted in the chat says last degree of the sign produces unfavorable results during its dasha.
Okay.
So Mars dasha is coming up next in 25, right?
Yes.
So if it is in the 3rd Drekana, it produces results in the later part of life. If it's retrograde, then it's different. We also saw Mars is in Mrityu Bhaga. It is also the 22nd Drekana Lord, placed 8th in the Drekana.
Yeah. So if you say Saturn Nakshatra, what is the junction of Saturn's Nakshatra? It is 1640, right? 13, 320, 1640. So you still got some more, the last bit of Saturn. So if you count physically like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mars is the 7th one. That's what I think you're hinting.
Yes, Guruji.
Okay.
I just wanted to go deep into that because there seem to be too many pointers on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2029 was the year that came in my mind that I should be warning the person to be careful.
No, only the best will happen because he's doing so much of chanting, right? So
yes. And also in the Sarvashtaka Varga Guruji for Ayush Karak, in Saturn's Ashtaka Varga, we see the lowest points.
Oh, okay, Ashtaka Varga. Binashtaka Varga.
Yeah, Binashtaka Varga. That chart, that page is there with all the Ashtaka Vargas. I don't know.
This one?
This is the general one. Saturn gives 5 points to the 12th house.
Okay. See, the most important point is when the actual imprisonment happened, Saturn was back to the same point. Right? Saturn meeting natal, transit Saturn meeting natal Saturn.
Yes.
Saturn return. That was also a pointer. Because now when it comes there, like a zigzag puzzle, it again, repeats all of this, whatever was there in connection to Saturn. So the same Saturn was able to take him to the top. I think everybody knows about this case by now in the US. I mean, in the US, very popular.
But this is a case of an extreme graph jump, Guruji, right on top of being, sleeping on cash, and then all of a sudden sleeping on the rocks,
Yeah.
So extreme case. And the chart shows that actually. That is the beauty of astrology.
Yeah. Whenever you say this Rahu Ketu influence, it is almost like, the snake swallows, right? If you relate the Rahu to snakes, this is the only creature that doesn't actually chew, I think. They just swallow. Okay. They're known for swallowing, and that too swallowing large prey. Right? We have now a lot of videos showing that. It swallows more than it can, digest. So that's a problem with this Rahu. Okay. See, now with the problem I face is that I have to talk to his brother, and he will take the news to him, and I'll have to say that the class concluded. There wasn't anything good. I'll have to confess. Okay.
So what is the redeeming factor here? Why did this person meet you so late? It was too late. Nonetheless, the person met. Fact that he met means during the course of the penance, most of the time when people understand the purpose behind the suffering, that itself gives them a little bit of relief. Is there any really redeeming factor here?
I did tell it to him that your Jupiter in Lagna is still working.
Yeah.
Okay, I told him that. It's a contest between Jupiter and Rahu factors, right? Whenever you have any combination, like any particular combination in the chart, even if afflicted, they still will do something about that. Like if you say simply Jupiter in Lagna, afflicted, of course, he went through the wrong path. But there's always a chance that the affliction can be removed. Right? And when trouble reaches the maximum, it automatically the soul goes towards spirituality, astrology, and related sciences to figure out what's happening. And it was a very good. There were some good things about this Jupiter, I think. So that must have helped him to meet me and have several hours of discussion on all the astrology angle and also karma angle.
Under a normal chart, having a Jupiter and Moon in the Kendras,
Correct.
a
One sub.
good
It's actually a
combination.
Gajakesari. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good combination. If this person was born like 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after, then they won't be right on the dot with Rahu Ketu axis.
Exactly. So that is what caught my attention. I saw Rahu Ketu, Lagna, everything almost exact. So that was trying to, tell me something. So there was some, but why did he meet me? I still think it is Jupiter's connection.
I believe so too. That's
Yeah.
that is, I was just
And
into that conclusion statement.
And whatever, like that moon in that Saturn's nakshatra, this Anuradha always has a tinge of that. They can get into spirituality. Okay. So
when did he meet you, Guruji? Which year?
In 2021.
Moon Mercury. Oh.
Yeah, Moon Mercury. See, one more thing they say in the Dasha of the Lord of the Third, you will meet a guru. Even that could have worked. Right?
Can you repeat that, please, sir?
The third house is called the awakening through a guru.
Okay.
Initiation, third house.
Bhukti also, right, Guruji?
Sir, should that be like a Mahadasa or Antardasa? Or either
Bhukti
thing
also.
is
It could be
okay?
both. It could be both. But in this case, it was Mahadasha.
Okay.
But then he had a little bit of connection to that moon through guru, because moon is aspected by guru, right?
Right aspect.
So if you change the angle of viewing, Saturn's aspect on the moon with moon in Saturn nakshatra being the lord of the ninth is also a guru connection. That is why, as he becomes so close to the God energy now, Srimad Bhagavatam and everything, right? So it was there, but it was, it was like the Maya of Rahu got the better of him. And the Maya disappears and he's revealed the truth about the unwanted thing that has been swallowed. Now, the person gets, it reveals, everything. Everything is revealed to him and then he understands now. Otherwise, genuinely, you will be very angry man and you won't get into bhakti. In fact, people who have belief in God, when an event like this happens, they will lose faith in God. They will turn against God. They'll be angry. They'll be angry with God.
Such people lately that it's very difficult when they are agitated. How
Correct.
can you tell them they are not in a position to receive other than you sitting and being an example, praying next to them?
Yeah.
At least he seems to have had the grace that he met you 2-3 years ahead of before the intensity of the case took off.
Correct.
Seriously.
Yeah.
To a point that he has become a Sai Baba, but at something, it doesn't matter which God, but
I sent him a lot of Shirdi Sai Baba's, stories and all this, a lot of guru stuff I sent. So he was able to learn everything. Basically, he is very intelligent. So he picked up a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, we'll pray for him.
But the proof of astrology is that the entire thing started in exact moon Mahadasha, 2015. So then now we understand how serious all this is. We are talking about something really important to the society. So normally astrology is not used like this. Astrology is used for when you buy a car, when you build a house, those kind of questions.
Guruji, you mentioned Mars in the 8th in Rekana.
Yeah.
Considering that the Baba Lord in a Baba will not do harm to that, do we take that as a point?
No. It is not like that. Because when the rule says the planet in the 22nd Rekana and the Lord of the 22nd Rekana, they're all Karesh. So in this case, if you want to use the Drekana chart here, it's actually the worst planet for this ascendant, right? So it's even more negative. So there you cannot. That's why I always say house number is greater than has to be given more importance than the dignity itself. I think I quoted this already. I was in a Prashna class, so somebody said Jupiter is exalted. He said, but Jupiter is in the 8th house. Then he turned around and said, it's like a Brahmin in a bar, drinking alcohol, something like that. So in the wrong place. So here Mars will actually be bad in the Drekana. Okay. So everything is to be based upon the Lagna. How much ever you can, give more weightage to that. Fine. Anything else we missed out you want to say? I think somebody was smart enough to say Mars is in Mrityu Bhaga. Like that, any point was left out? Shall we end then?
And this is Moon Dasha, right, Guruji?
Yes.
Right now. So considering that Dasharnath as the Lagna, we see 8th house has Venus in it, which is in a friendly sign. So therefore, there seems to be some revival going on. It's not like an absolute destruction, because Venus we know that it denotes Sanjeevani. So the 8th from the Mahadasha Lord, and considering that Moon we also take as a Chandra Lagna. In both the cases, Venus is in the 8th from Moon.
Okay.
So Venus will be reviving this person's karmic life. It's not like going totally down. Now it's going to come back into repayment of the karma.
Maybe his belief in God is going to make it easier for him, in the new environment he is. So it will allow him to, because when you get so much into bhakti, it's almost like a sheath. It protects you from the hardship of life.
Guruji, as we discuss this chart today, right now there is this Moon Venus going on, Guruji.
Oh.
That's another plus point. So Venus is the Lagna Lord and also the other Guru, apart from Jupiter. And in fact, I would consider him as somewhat slightly more powerful in terms of that the knowledge of the Sanjeevani mantra.
Okay.
So here we are talking about Moon Venus of this native. We are talking all sitting here and gathering and having a discussion.
Yeah, I also told him to recite Mahamrityunjaya regularly.
To improve the Moon, Guruji?
Yeah. Because, 3 and 7 connection is also kind of Maraka. A connection
and being in 7th
7th
house.
Yeah, being in 7th, so planets placed in 7th, Lord of 7th. Lord of 3 in 7 is also a tough graha only.
Guruji, one more reason I found for this Moon Dasha being very impactful is from the Dasha Lagna, if you see, then most of the grahas are in the Marakstan. Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Rahu. So
Correct,
1,
correct.
2, 3, 4. So these 4 bhuktis, along with the Venus bhukti, which is the 7th lord, would have actually caused the moon dasha to be impactful. So this is a strange clue that we get when we look at many planets in one house. Then we see, when we have to see the 7th from it.
Yeah.
Whether the dasha of the 7th from that stellium, or what do you call that?
Yeah, the group of planets. Yeah.
Yeah, group of planets.
Stellium.
Then that
Yeah.
becomes stellium. Yeah, that becomes impactful.
Correct.
This is one takeaway from this, because when you said moon dasha being so impactful, it's because of the 7th marakas that caused all the marantulya kashta,
Correct.
kandam.
Yeah.
So could that be, Guruji?
Yes, yes, definitely. Meanwhile, Karthik has mentioned that Venus in the 10th from KL, Karakamsha Lagna, according to Jaimini Sutras, gives riches in profession, right? Makes a person wealthy. Since Karakamsha Lagna is in Kanya. I think,
Atmakarak in 9th. Okay.
no, Karakamsha Lagna is, Mercury is the Atmakaraka.
It is
The
in
Mercury is in Kanya in D9.
D9.
So that becomes Karakamsha Lagna. And from Karakamsha Lagna, you have Venus in 10th. That's what he says.
Oh, yesterday I read this sentence in that Raja Yoga chapter, Guruji, where they say that we have to look even from the Karakamsha Lagna, Parashari
Correct.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you take this as the Karakamsha Lagna, now things are starting to become even more clear. So now we see the affliction to the 3rd and
Yeah, 3-9 axis.
3-9 axis, which is actually
Adharma.
the axis of dharma.
Yeah.
A lot of affliction going on there.
Correct.
It's single-handedly Rahu and
Yeah, they have done havoc. But if you look at his life history, you will see that the lady represented everything of Rahu and Ketu. See, because if it is the case of he was not successful before he met her, he's already successful. Only the lady does everything. So we'll be back again next week, like Friday 8 or 8:30 and Saturday 8 or 8:30. Okay, if you want any class to be held tomorrow, some volunteers are there, you let me know. I can set up a meeting in the night because I have some work in the evening if you want to conduct any session. Okay.
Swamiji, it's been a long time since you presented us any charts or discussions.
Yeah, Soumyaji is going, I don't know, she's not active, right?
She took a sabbatical after Indian trip, but it's too long a sabbatical.
Okay. Fine, shall we end?
Yes, Guruji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Guru. Thank you.
Regarding the identity of the person, if somebody wants, you can always send me a message. I can do it one-to-one. Okay.